So hello and welcome. Here we are having listened to what Callum had to say, and there's some great ideas, some great thoughts about new market, new product, new opportunity. But what does that mean to providers? What does that mean to clinics? What does that mean that we are going to need to be able to do as a result of this new information? And to help find answers to that, I'm joined by two of the most experienced professional providers that I know in this industry. So we have Jen Mayer and Julie Hubik joining us here. And Jen, you're here from your home, and I think Julie, you're here from your clinic. So welcome both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're talking OTC. We're talking about something that's been hot topic since I met this industry back in 2012. And no doubt it's been a topic of conversation in your offices and around the industry as a whole. Jen, tell me from your point of view, when you first were introduced to the idea of over-the-counter hearing devices, what were your first thoughts?
Well, I think my first thoughts were kind of in line with everybody thinking this is going to destroy our profession. We spent all this time and energy getting our degrees and, toting our abilities. And now they're going to be able to go anywhere and get the devices that we say we can only give you. So I was very skeptical, very nervous.
Yeah. And do you remember when that was? Like in your head, if you were to flash back to that first feeling, that first thought of being introduced to this idea, how long ago was that? What was the context around it?
I was at a conference when I had read about it, I had heard about it, but when I was first really introduced to the guidelines of it, as the bill was proposed, I was at a conference and thought that, oh no, what did I get myself into? I had just bought my practice. I was very nervous that things were not going to go very well for me.
Right, okay. Julie, how did your opinions differ or compare to what Jen's just shared about her first thoughts of the introduction to OTC?
I think I started in a complete phase of denial, that this actually would never happen, that we don't need to get worked up about it. There's so much, change that can happen, but you don't really want to jump off a cliff until it's actually a reality. And so I really sort of stuck my head in the sand for a little bit and just tried to, a stage of grief on denial and just, I had some of the same fears that Jen's talking about. Just when you own a business and you're responsible for so many people and the industry is really important to you, that there's a lot of fear and just frustration and just a lot of different emotions that you go through at the beginning.
Gotcha. Now, you've both been part of a focus group. You've had some upfront information around potential products that could be coming to market. You've been involved in speaking with manufacturers and around some industry studies and start to have a front row seat in terms of what potentially could be reality as products start to hit the market. How has this changed your opinions around OTC? How would you say that you've matured and developed your thoughts, Jen, since perhaps getting exposure to new information?
I think I've completely changed my thought process on it, actually. Having the delay in getting some of the guidelines out has given me time to wrap my head around it, but being part of this focus group and seeing what products are actually going to be available and what my role is going to play in that has really changed how I'm looking at it. I do think that this is something that must be incorporated into my practice. There are patients that I already can think of that would probably benefit from this type of device. So I do believe that I have a much better outlook at this point, and feel more comfortable knowing what may be coming down the pike may actually help and benefit, and I can be a perfect part of that, a perfect equation to that.
Okay. And Julie, where's your head at right now when you think OTC and you're looking forward to your practice?
I think that just really researching and understanding what the OTC, the lack of regulation that they have now and just what products are out already and what products may be coming out has really been helpful just to understand. Before it was so mysterious, we didn't really know, and there's still a lot of mystery to it, but just understanding what's available now and also understanding the demographic. I think that's been the biggest part of this discovery phase for me with the focus group, is understanding who are the people that are looking for over-the-counter hearing aids. How old are they? What's important to them? And understanding that those are not patients that we're seeing anyway. in my office makes it feel a little less threatening. I guess it's not someone who's going to come in and buy hearing aids, at least at this point. It may change, but for now, I really feel more comfortable with who's looking for help in this arena and what products are available. It kind of helps to kind of calm your fears a little bit.
Yeah, I think that was one of the big revelations for me when looking at the data was seeing the quantity of people that wouldn't traditionally have stepped towards a hearing device, but are open-minded to the idea of the fact they would accept hearing help if it was in more of a consumer electronics type bundle. That was something that was like, okay, for years we've been trying to access this middle group of mild to moderate help and rolled the dice at a variety of different ways towards trying to be able to attract them all to no level of success. Yet here might be something that potentially could start to open up some of that market. Now, from your point of view, though, how do you feel about being a professional provider, having a medical background, yet here what we now have is this entry into consumer electronics sort of blurring the lines a little? Is this something that is a good thing, is a bad thing, is somewhere in between? How are you wrapping your head around that, Jen, when you think about sort of blending that into your clinic?
I do think that being part of this focus group has definitely opened my eyes to what population we're going to be looking at. And just like Julie said, I think the population that is going to be appropriate for this product is not going to be our typical patient that would walk in for a medical device. I think that as this industry is changing and growing, we have to accept the fact that there are going to be other products available. And I personally feel much more empowered knowing that I'm going to be part of this change. Yes, I have a medical background. I have a diagnostic practice, and I will continue to have that, and I will continue to serve those patients. But having something else that I can potentially fit to a patient who may not be ready to take that step and may only need, help in certain situations, or at least feel that that's what their need is, because quite honestly, fitting somebody with a hearing device, part of the equation is they have to feel comfortable. And if this is a product that can make them feel comfortable and start them in their journey with me, then I'm okay with that.
I think you're so right. And from all the providers that I've met in my time in the industry, is everybody says that they're an expert. They say that they provide service. They say they care about people, that they have a commitment towards people being able to hear better. And I think if you want to maintain that expert badge, having an understanding of all solutions that could support a patient is bordering on essential. Even if you gain an experience on it and decide it's not for you, that experience needs to be first-hand and then third-hand back from the consumers that you've worked with it with, so that you can come at it from a position of authority and experience, more so than just an opinion that is coming from arm's length. So I like the way that you're thinking about it here. Julie, though, on a more practical level, is how you're going to operate the differences, right? Because I know that you have a very service-focused practice, that you take great care of people. You invest hours of time in helping them to support their hearing journey over time, and that costs money. Here we have a product that potentially is going to rely on the patient to do more of the work themselves. There inherently is going to be less margin in it from a profitability. How do you incorporate that into a clinic and still make it make sense for your organization?
It's a challenge. I think that this is why we're all freaked out about it. I think that we need to just really have an open mind about it. The first go at it may not be successful. We're going to have to just kind of dabble in it and see how it goes. My plan is to offer it in our service center. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to put it on a price sheet in front of new patients that are coming in for hearing help, but to have it as something that you can discuss when patients are really not ready. Hopefully we can, that average age that patients, or the average time that it takes a patient to actually take action toward their hearing loss. Maybe the goal with this is to try to get them a couple years earlier than they would have normally even started having a conversation. So I think just inserting ourselves into that world and immersing ourselves so that we are part of the talking points with patients and they are looking to us to help them make those decisions, I think is really important. So to answer your question, I have no idea how I'm going to do that, but I'm going to give it a go and see. I'll let you know after I try it for a little bit on what was really a dumb idea and what worked out really well. So that's just kind of where we are right now.
Well, because
Yeah.
consumers have really demanded this, right? This isn't a manufacturer-led process. This isn't a provider-led process. Consumers have said, hey, we would like a solution to be able to hear better without needing to go through the medical hoops and without needing to pay a fortune for being able to do so. So the consumer's going to teach us what comes next. And the only way you get to learn is to go play the game with them and find out where it takes you. So I really like your thought of we're going to get scrappy with it. We're going to talk to patients about it. We're going to introduce it. But obviously the product's still a little bit way into the future. What are some of the things that you're thinking you could be doing right now to maybe either better inform your existing patient community or perhaps even the team, the people that work with you? Because this fear thing is real, right? And I think as professional providers, we get a chance to shape this conversation based on the current information and what's going to be added to it, knowing that we are part of what adds to it. So Jen, have you given any thought to how you might be communicating back with your team and your existing patient community about the fact that products like this are coming and how they might be able to help people that they know?
Yes, I have actually started speaking with my team. We are all, doctors of audiology. We, hold that strongly to our hearts. But this is definitely something that we have to be open to. Like Julie said, I don't know what's going to work. I don't know if it's something we're going to, offer to every single patient. I do think that there is a specific patient that this will be used for. And I don't know that we need to put it on a price sheet, like Julie said, or offer it to everybody. And that's our job. Our job is to recommend what we think is best going to help our patients. So if the best thing for them is a medical grade device, that is what I would recommend. But if the best thing is for them because they're 40 years old and only struggling when they, go out to lunch with their friends, I may not say you need a high-end hearing aid. You may benefit from this consumer electronic product. And guess what? I can help you with that. I have my hands on that. I can tell you what this is about, and I can help you along this path. I'm actually pretty excited to be able to have it.
Yeah, and it could even be a gateway type device, right? Where it introduces somebody to the idea that they can hear better with technology. And 6 months, 12 months, 18 months down the tracks, you're having a secondary conversation that says, okay, I'm ready to do this properly. Like I now wear glasses all the time. And 2 years ago, I was self-prescribing myself reading glasses at Warby Parker, right? But what ended up happening is I finally took the plunge and got some that were properly prescribed and paid 8 times the price for it. But there is that entryway, and it does have the chance to be able to soften. I think there's more here, though, too, is that our existing patients are ambassadors for change. And the more that they know about the fact that new devices are coming, they are perhaps the best educated and the best informed to help drive new patients. So I think teaching your existing patients that products like this exist could well result in them bringing more of their friends and family towards your clinic. Julie, have you given any thought to how you might be able to implement strategies that drive new patients through the door, given all of this noise about OTC, given the fact the president's talking about it, given the fact that there is new devices coming that are going to be Googled like crazy? Yeah. What are you doing to be able to catch that traffic and shape the conversation through your patients?
Yeah, first of all, we're not ignoring it, not pretending it doesn't exist. When Biden is talking about the executive order, we're getting our hands on that and talking about it with our patients. It's in our newsletter. We have, some articles online about it where people searching, we're popping up with new patients. As soon as this is launched and there's a product that we feel comfortable with, we want to be available for patients. We want it to show up when they're Google searching, over-the-counter hearing devices. We want to be there. So just weaseling our way into that conversation is the plan. We want to still be the person that they trust. And we want to, if you're ignoring the fact that something is available, I think you lose a little bit of trust with patients and with people, especially with new people who are trying to decide if they trust you or not. If you're not going to talk about it at all, I feel like then maybe you might lose a little trust with the new patient.
Jen, you doing anything else in addition to that?
When the executive orders came down from Biden, everybody was asking questions. And it really wasn't any new executive order. It was just putting into place what was already there, but giving a timeline. So, we we discussed that. I have actually scheduled some talks at some local senior centers and other places, Council on Aging, just to be able to educate, because everybody had so many questions and wanted answers, and it was easier to do it in a group setting, which I have scheduled quite a few of them actually, to go out and just give them education. And that is really what I think is going to set us apart, is being able to educate on what over-the-counter hearing aids are, what consumer electronic products are, what the difference is, where I am involved in it, where they can seek help. And I think education is just really the big part of this from an audiology standpoint.
I love that education piece. And I think there's so much we can do. We're going to play a game as we start to bring this interview towards a close. As I've thought, why don't we just go one to one to one? Is like, what is a very practical, applicable thing that you could be doing right now, given this information, that puts you as a clinic ahead? What is something that you can take action on? And Jen, you just gave an example there that was great, of getting out into the community, talking to assisted living facilities and helping raise awareness through education. I'll jump on next, then you, Julie, then Jen, then back to me. And let's see how many practical ideas we can get together. Because I think one of the things that I'd be doing right now, if I was in your shoes, is I'd be thinking not just about assisted living, but local big employers. What can I do to get in front of employers where they might have a quantity of that 40, 50, 60-year-old that's busy in the workplace that might be more open to this device, where I could be running little educational events that were combining with employee benefits and speaking to employers locally over this period of time to try and actually build database of that younger potential patient ahead of time. Julie, what might be something that you would do? Let's just brainstorm some fun ideas.
Yeah, I mean, we have a program like that where we're in front of employers and doing hearing screenings for their employees and talking about how important it is to hear well in the workplace and the revenue that can be lost and things like that with, just even a mild hearing loss in the workplace. So I think it's a good idea to do the education piece. Sometimes we just jump in and go straight for the hearing screening, but we need to really communicate with their employers on why that's important, and that there are affordable solutions, especially now, to address those issues.
Cool. Love that. Jen, what about you? What you got next?
So I have started compiling a list of patients that I have been seeing recently that could be candidates for this, so that I can target them right away. And that's just within my own clinic. And I think with the introduction of masks, a lot of people realized that they couldn't hear. So I am seeing a lot of younger patients, 30s, 40s, that do have either, acknowledged or clinical hearing loss and are not ready to wear hearing aids. So I'm compiling this list already, so that I have, 10, 15 people that I can get my hands on as soon as I can fit this product.
I love that thought. And even just being like, well, could I bring them in groups of 4 or 6, etc., almost under a come play with it, come trial it, come give your opinion about it, and get them in as early adopters, and then use the feedback that comes from them into your marketing, into your web content, into being able to be like, how do you communicate it? And then maybe do the same with an experienced hearing aid wearer and get them to trial it too. I think the other thing I'd be doing right now is any device that falls into this OTC category, I'd be buying one. Right? I'd be buying it. I'd be understanding what the customer experience is. I'd be doing honest reviews. I'd be gifting it to a patient, getting them to tell me about it. And I'd be producing content like crazy that says, here's what I think about blank. Whether it's the Bose device, whether it's the Apple device, whether it's any other devices that are coming down the pipe that are from GN or wherever, is we should be talking about it. We should have an opinion about it. And we should start to be able to create that conversation. So I'd be taking that action right now of being ready to give a genuine expert opinion that includes both audiologists, HCPs, and patients' experience of not only the device, but the customer experience that goes with it. Julie, what about you? Let's see if we can get a couple more.
Yeah, we've thought about having maybe our next patient appreciation event when they ask them to bring a friend, and then maybe have a little display of the devices, just talking about an entry-level starting point. It may not be for them, but at least it gets them thinking about possible solutions that are out there.
Like that. Go on, Jen, you must have one more.
Well, I've been thinking about it, maybe doing somewhat of a Facebook campaign, sharing it all over social media to see if we can get some patients to start trying these devices. We would obviously have to do the hearing test, and therefore they'd be in our database, and we could maybe build some of our patient database that way.
Yeah, I like that. And I think, playing with targeted settings on Facebook ads to go towards very specific user groups in very specific geofenced areas, looking to be able to bring them in as a lead database that you can then nurture more so than straight to appointment to purchase could be really smart. Let me see if I can think of one more thing that I might do right now, given that this exists. I'd probably revisit my pricing structure across the board and make sure that I was crystal clear on the and what else people get with all of my premium devices. So that what I could do is draw a very clean line between what is a self-fitted option and what is a full service option with a medical grade device, so that me and my team could very, very easily articulate the difference between the two different pathways and not get stuck in features and benefits of product, but explain that these are two very different routes forward. And I'd probably do that work with my team starting from now and make sure I'm communicating that early. So as we bring this towards a close, I want to know what do you want to say to the industry as a whole, right? You've had the chance to think about this more than most. You've probably had some sleepless nights and worries. You've probably even been worried about having this discussion with me today, knowing that many of your peers are going to be listening into this conversation. So given we're all in a situation of unknown, given that there is both opportunity and challenge, and we know that both those things are true, what do you want to say to the industry of fellow professionals to say, how do we as a group of people approach the fact that OTC is happening, knowing that if everybody adopted that kind of approach, then we might create a rising tide, sort of lifts all boats approach? Jen, you go first. Julie, you can wrap us up.
That's a loaded question. I think that in general, it goes back to accepting change. We have to realize that everything is changing. Things are going to change. And if we just stand still, that wave will just knock us over. But if we can open up our minds, see what our value as the professional can offer, we can ride that wave. It's scary for sure. We've been living in this model of audiology for so long, but if we want to succeed and we want to continue, our job is to help people hear better. And I'm committed to doing that in any way I can. And I want to be the person that they turn to for that help. So I will adapt the change. I will open my mind up. I will try these products myself and see which ones are better than others. Which ones will I offer? Which ones will I be able to help my patients with? I think that's the biggest thing, is just be open to the change and try it. Maybe just try it. No one's saying you have to do it forever, but give it a shot. I think that's really the only way we can, as a profession, we can survive this.
Such a great point. Julie?
I always think about Blockbuster Video and how we all used to just stand in front of all those options to rent a movie and had all the time in the world to go pick a movie, and how that industry has changed and how Blockbuster didn't get on board, and what happened to them. And so I always say I don't want to be the Blockbuster Video of hearing aids. I wish it wasn't a reality, I think we all do, but it is. And so, my business and my profession are kind of like my third child. I'll kind of defend it to the death. And so, we just have to not be afraid of it. We have to hit it head on and get in front of it, talk about it, get it out there, figure out how you can increase some margin and maybe cut some expenses in some other areas, and just not run from it. I think that as a profession that we need to stop being defensive about it, even though it pisses me off too. That's just the reality of it, but it doesn't help to be defensive. It's happening. And so we need to just figure out how to be smart about it and how to continue to grow our business and help our patients.
So many good points. And I love the fact that we've all accepted that change needs to happen. So change needs to happen. So let's be the change as opposed to let it happen to us. And there's definitely opportunities. There's definitely challenges. Both are true. You get to decide where to put the focus. And I like the fact you just brought up the Blockbuster thing, because this isn't Blockbuster Video and Netflix. This is the movie business. And the movie business is still strong, right? Blockbuster Video might be out of business, but the movie business is still strong. It's just moved to streaming platforms, yet people still go to movie theaters. Actors still get paid and producers still make great content. And I think understand that if we're going to use the movie analogy, the patient is the star. The patient is Ryan Gosling. The patient is Halle Berry. And that you are movie producers. Right? You make those hero moments happen, and there will always be people making home movies, just like there's people doing do-it-yourself kitchen fitting and everything else that happens. Yet what does happen when a market gets leveled is consumers go looking for expertise. Consumers, when faced with high levels of incompetence, crave high levels of competence. And if you can set your stall out accordingly to be that go-to expert voice, I'm seeing this as a wonderful opportunity, because for the first time in forever, like, hearing aids are front page news, hearing aids are being talked about in a big, big way. And finally, we might not get people say what when you tell them you're an audiologist. So Jen, Julie, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing some of your insight into what is a very unknown area, but equally exciting and full of opportunity. Super grateful for you showing up and sharing some of your very valuable time with us all today. And look forward to seeing you again in real life sometime soon.
Yeah. Thank you.